The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. My precious beloved child, stop right where you are. Do not scroll past this message. Do not let your finger move to the next thing. I know you almost did. I know your thumb was hovering, ready to move on, ready to search for something else, anything else, to fill that aching emptiness you have been carrying inside you for so long. I know that a part of you has become so used to disappointment, so accustomed to letdowns, that you almost did not give this message a chance. You have built walls to protect yourself, but something made you pause. Something told you to wait. Something whispered to your spirit that this moment was different from all the others. That something was me. This is not a coincidence. This is not random chance that brought you here. Out of the millions of videos you could be watching, out of the endless noise of the world, you are the one who stopped. You are the one who felt the pull to stay. You are the one who needed to hear what I am about to say. And what I am about to say will change everything. I need you to understand something before we go any further. I have been waiting for this moment. I have been orchestrating circumstances. I have been arranging timing. I have been preparing your heart for exactly this conversation. Everything that has happened in your life, every door that closed in your face, every prayer that seemed to bounce off the ceiling, every delay that frustrated you to tears has been leading to this moment, this message, these words, this encounter. I know about the 7 years. Yes, I said 7 years. And I felt something shift in your spirit when you heard that number, because you know exactly what I am talking about. You know exactly which 7 years. I mean the 7 years that were stolen from you, the 7 years of struggle, the 7 years of waiting, the 7 years of wondering if things would ever change, the 7 years of watching others move forward while you felt stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels in the mud, the 7 years of putting on a brave face while your heart was breaking inside, the 7 years of praying prayers that seemed to go nowhere, the 7 years of hoping for breakthrough that never seemed to come. I have counted every single day of those 7 years. Every tear that fell from your eyes when no one was watching, every prayer that you whispered in the darkness, every silent scream that echoed in your soul when the pain became too much to bear, every moment when you wondered if you had been forgotten, every night when sleep would not come because worry had taken its place, every morning when you had to force yourself to get out of bed and face another day of the same struggle. I have counted them all. I have recorded them all. I have remembered them all. And I am here to tell you the reversal has begun. Not the reversal is coming someday. Not the reversal might happen if you do everything right. Not the reversal is scheduled for next year or next month or even next week. The reversal has begun right now in this moment. As you hear these words, I know you have heard promises before. I know people have told you that things were about to change only for them to stay the same. I know preachers have prophesied breakthroughs that never materialized. I know friends have spoken hope that turned out to be empty. And I know that each of those disappointments added another layer of protection around your heart, another reason to keep your expectations low, another wall between you and the hope that once came so naturally. But I am not a preacher speaking from a platform. I am not a friend guessing at what might happen. I am not a well-meaning voice offering empty comfort.
I am the God who spoke the universe into existence. I am the one who holds the stars in their courses and calls them each by name. I am the beginning and the end, the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega. When I speak, reality rearranges itself to align with my words, and I am speaking over your life right now. What I declare cannot be undone. What I promise cannot be prevented. What I determine cannot be defeated. The powers of hell itself cannot stop what I have set in motion. Every angel in heaven is aligned with my purposes for you. Every force of good in the universe is working on your behalf. The reversal that I am declaring is not a wish. It is not a hope. It is not a possibility among many. It is a divine decree, and divine decrees become reality.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. So let me tell you again, with all the authority of heaven behind it, the reversal has begun. But before I show you what is coming, you need to understand something that will unlock everything else. There is a revelation I am about to give you that will change the way you see your past, your present, and your future. It will explain why the waiting happened. It will reveal what was being built in the seasons that felt like destruction. It will show you the purpose behind the pain. Stay with me until the end. What I reveal will change the way you see your entire life. I see you. Not the version of yourself that you show the world, not the carefully curated image that you present on social media, not the confident smile you wear at work or at church or at family gatherings, not the "I'm doing fine" that you say when people ask how you are. I see past all of that. I see the real you, the one who exists when no one else is watching, the one who cries in the shower so no one will hear, the one who lies awake at night wondering if things will ever change, the one who has learned to function while carrying a weight that would crush most people, the one who keeps going not because you feel strong, but because you do not know what else to do. You have become skilled at hiding, my child. Years of disappointment have taught you to protect yourself. You have learned to say, "I am fine," when your heart is screaming that nothing is fine. You have learned to celebrate the success of others while secretly wondering why your own breakthrough seems so delayed. You have learned to smile through pain, to laugh through tears, to function through exhaustion. But hiding takes energy, pretending takes strength, and you are running out of both. Let me tell you what I know about you, and I want you to listen carefully because I'm about to describe things that you have never told anyone, things that you have buried so deep that you almost forgot they existed, things that only you and I know about. I know that there have been moments, private moments, when you have questioned whether I was still there. Not loud questions, not angry accusations that you would speak in public, just quiet wonderings in the dark places of your mind. Does God see me? Does God hear me? Does God even care about my situation anymore? Did I do something wrong that caused him to turn away? Have I been forgotten? Have I been abandoned? Have I been left behind while everyone else moves forward? I have heard every single one of those questions, and I have not been offended by them. How could I be offended by the honest cries of a heart that is longing for me? How could I be angry at a child who is simply trying to understand why their father seems distant? Your doubts do not push me away. They draw me closer. Your questions do not offend me. They invite me into deeper conversation with you. Here is something you need to understand. I have been closer to you in these difficult years than in the easy ones. When everything was going well, you reached for me occasionally. You prayed when you remembered. You sought me when it was convenient.
And I do not say that to condemn you. It is simply human nature. When life is easy, we forget our need for God. But when the storms came, when the waiting stretched longer than you ever imagined, you reached for me constantly. You prayed not out of habit, but out of desperation. You sought me not out of convenience, but out of necessity. You clung to me not because it was expected, but because I was the only thing stable in a world that was shaking. You may feel that the struggle has weakened your faith, but I am telling you that it has deepened it. The roots of a tree grow strongest when the winds blow hardest. The muscles grow strongest when they are pushed to their limits. The faith grows strongest when it is tested beyond what seems bearable. You are not weaker than you were 7 years ago. You are stronger. You just cannot see it yet because you are still in the process. But I see the finished product. I see who you are becoming, and what I see takes my breath away. Let me go deeper still. There is another layer I need to reveal before we continue. There is a fear that you have not spoken to anyone, not your closest friend, not your family, not your spouse or your pastor or your counselor, not even in your prayers. It is a fear that lives in the basement of your soul, and you have tried to pretend it doesn't exist. You have locked the door to that basement and thrown away the key. But I see it. I know it. I have watched it grow in the shadows of your heart, and I have been waiting for this moment to bring it into the light. You are afraid that the waiting has not been preparation. You are afraid it has been punishment. Somewhere along the way, you started to believe that you did something wrong, that you missed a step, that you made a choice years ago that disqualified you from the blessing you see others receiving. You have replayed decisions in your mind, wondering which one was the mistake that cost you everything. You have asked yourself 1,000 times what you could have done differently.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. Listen to me carefully. That is a lie. The waiting was never punishment. I do not operate that way. I do not keep records of wrongs for my children. When you came to me and asked for forgiveness, I forgave completely. I did not forgive most of your sins and keep a few in reserve to punish you with later. I forgave all of them. I separated them from you as far as the east is from the west. I cast them into the depths of the sea. I remembered them no more. The delay was never rejection. I did not look at your life and decide that you were unworthy of blessing. I did not compare you to others and find you lacking. I did not see your failures and determine that you should be passed over. You are not being punished for something you did wrong. You are being positioned for something I have planned. The struggle was never a sign that I had forgotten you or moved on to someone more deserving. There is no more deserving. That is the nature of grace. It is not earned, and it cannot be lost. You do not deserve blessing because of what you have done. You receive blessing because of who I am. And I am a father who delights in giving good gifts to his children. So why the wait? Why the 7 years of difficulty? Why the prolonged season of struggle while others seem to breeze through life without care? I am going to show you something. But first, I need to reveal one more layer, the deepest one, the one you have buried so far down that you almost forgot it was there. There is a dream that you stopped dreaming years ago. Your heart was full of vision. You could see the life you wanted to live. You could imagine the person you wanted to become. You could picture the impact you wanted to have. That dream was so vivid, so alive, so real to you that you could almost touch it. You talked about it with excitement in your voice. You planned for it with anticipation in your heart. You believed it was coming with every fiber of your being. You knew that it was your destiny. But then the disappointments came, one after another. like waves crashing against a shore. They eroded the landscape of your hope. The doors closed, not just one door, but door after door after door until you stopped bothering to knock. The opportunities vanished. Jobs fell through. Promotions went to someone else. Investments failed. Businesses struggled. The relationships ended. People you trusted walked away. Connections you needed never materialized. The health failed. Your body betrayed you. A diagnosis came that you never expected. Energy depleted. Strength diminished. The finances crumbled. Bills piled up. Debt accumulated. Accounts emptied. And piece by piece, you began to dismantle the dream. You told yourself it was practical. Dreams are for children, you said. Reality is for adults. You told yourself you were being realistic. Not everyone gets to live their dream. Most people just survive. You told yourself that dream was for someone else, not for you. Some people are destined for greatness. I was destined for normalcy. You did not kill the dream quickly. That would have been too painful. Instead, you starved it slowly. You stopped feeding it hope. Every time a thought of the dream arose, you pushed it down with a reminder of all the reasons it would never happen. You stopped watering it with faith. Every time someone asked about your goals, you gave safe answers that required no risk. You stopped giving it the attention it needed to survive. You focused on just getting through today, and tomorrow's possibilities faded into obscurity. And eventually, the dream became so small, so weak, so silent that you could pretend it had never existed at all. You buried it in the graveyard of abandoned hopes, alongside the other things you once believed were possible, but have since accepted as fantasy. But I remember that dream. I remember it because I'm the one who planted it inside you. It was never your idea alone. It was a seed that I placed in the soil of your heart, designed to grow into something magnificent. Before you were born, I knew the dream you would carry. Before you took your first breath, I had already prepared the path to its fulfillment. Before you ever imagined what your life could be, I had already written the chapters that would lead you there. And here's what you need to know. The seed is still there. It has been dormant. It has been buried under layers of disappointment and self-protection. It has been waiting in the darkness of your heart, untouched by the sunlight of hope for years. But it is not dead. Seeds can survive underground for years, waiting for the right conditions to break through the surface. They can remain in a state of suspended animation, appearing lifeless, but actually preserving life. Your dream has been in a similar state, not destroyed, just waiting, not dead, just sleeping. And I'm telling you now, the conditions are changing. The season of dormancy is ending. The season of breakthrough is beginning. What you thought was dead is about to come to life. What you thought was lost is about to be found. What you thought was finished is about to begin again. The dream you buried is about to resurrect. But before I show you the fullness of what is coming, I need to take you through something important. There's a revelation that will unlock everything. It's connected to the 7 years, and it will explain why everything had to happen exactly the way it happened. Stay with me. This is where it gets good. There's a pattern woven throughout the fabric of creation that most people never notice. It's hidden in plain sight, appearing again and again in the story of humanity. This pattern carries a power that shapes destinies and determines timing. It is the fingerprint of heaven pressed into the timeline of earth. The pattern is the number 7.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. When I created the world, I worked for 6 days and rested on the 7th. This was not because I was tired. The creator of the universe does not experience fatigue. I do not need to sleep. I do not need to recover. I do not need to recharge. I worked for 6 days and rested on the 7th because I was establishing a principle that would echo through all of time. After 6 comes completion, fullness, and rest. After 6 comes the Sabbath. After labor comes reward. After struggle comes breakthrough. This pattern was not arbitrary. It was prophetic. It was meant to teach every generation that follows that there is a rhythm to blessing. There is a cycle to breakthrough. There is a timing to transformation. When Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream, what did he see? 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. And what happened after those 14 years? An entire nation was saved from starvation. A family that had been torn apart by jealousy and betrayal was reunited in forgiveness and love. A promise that had seemed impossible, that Joseph would rule and his brothers would bow before him, became reality. Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister, from forgotten to famous, from victim to victor. All because he understood the power of the 7-year cycle. All because he knew that the famine would end and the abundance would come. When Joshua led the people of Israel to Jericho, how did the walls fall? They marched around the city for 6 days, once each day. I imagine some of them wondered what they were doing. I imagine some of them felt foolish walking in circles around a fortified city while the inhabitants laughed at them from the walls. I imagine some of them wanted to give up, wanted to try a more conventional approach, wanted to do something that made logical sense. But they kept marching, they kept obeying, they kept trusting. And on the 7th day, they marched 7 times. And on that final circuit, at the completion of the 7th cycle, the walls that had stood for generations collapsed in an instant. What seemed impossible became reality in a moment. What had blocked their progress for so long crumbled like dust. When Naaman the leper came to Elisha seeking healing, what was he told to do? Dip in the Jordan River 7 times, not once, not 3 times, not 6 times, 7 times. And I want you to notice something about Naaman's experience. The first dip, nothing happened. He came up out of the water, still covered in leprosy. The second dip, nothing happened. The third, fourth, fifth, 6th dip, nothing visible changed. I imagine the doubts that must have swirled in his mind. I imagine the temptation to give up, to conclude that this was a waste of time, to decide that healing was not for him. But he kept dipping, and it was only on the 7th dip that his flesh was restored like that of a young child. The healing he had sought for years came in a single moment at the completion of the 7th cycle. Do you see the pattern? 7 is not just a number. It is a signal. It is a marker. It is a divine indicator that completion has arrived. When you see 7 in your life, whether 7 days, 7 months, or 7 years, you are looking at a cycle that carries the fingerprint of heaven. You are looking at a timeline that I have established. You are looking at a season that has divine purpose written into its very structure. Now, let me show you something about your own story. I want you to think back to 7 years ago. What was happening in your life? What changed? What started? What ended? Take a moment and really think about this. What door closed 7 years ago? What relationship ended? What health crisis began? What financial struggle started? What dream died? What season shifted? Most people who are hearing this message right now will be able to identify something significant that happened around that time. Not a minor inconvenience, but a major shift. Not a small bump in the road, but a complete change of direction. Something that marked the beginning of a difficult season. Something that started the clock on a period of waiting that has felt endless. This was not random. When that difficult season began, you thought it was the worst thing that could happen to you. You thought it was the end of something precious. You thought your life was taking a turn in the wrong direction. You thought you were being punished or forgotten or abandoned. But what you did not know was that you were entering a divine cycle, a 7-year cycle that would test you, train you, transform you, and ultimately position you for the greatest breakthrough of your life. Let me tell you a story. There was once a farmer who inherited a field from his father. The field had been in the family for generations, passed down from grandfather to father to son. It had always produced abundant crops. The soil was rich with nutrients accumulated over decades. The location was perfect, positioned to receive ideal amounts of sunlight and rain. The irrigation was ideal, fed by a stream that never ran dry. Everyone in the region knew that this field was blessed. When people spoke of prosperous farms, this was the one they mentioned. But when the young farmer took over, something changed. For 6 consecutive years, the harvests were poor. Drought came when rain was expected. The clouds would gather and darken the sky, and the farmer would think that finally the rain had come. But then the clouds would move on, dropping their water on other fields while his remained parched.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. Pests attacked when the crops were most vulnerable. Insects that had never been a problem before suddenly appeared in swarms, devouring what little had managed to grow. Storms destroyed what remained. Hail fell at harvest time, beating the crops into the ground. The farmer watched his neighbors prosper while his own fields produced almost nothing. People began to whisper. They said the blessing had left the land. They said the young farmer must have done something wrong to anger God. They said he should sell the field and find another occupation. Maybe farming was not for him. Maybe he was not cut out for this. Even his own family began to doubt. His wife wondered if they should move to the city. His children were embarrassed when their classmates asked about the farm. His brothers offered to buy him out of his inheritance. By the end of the 6th year, the farmer was ready to give up. He had exhausted his savings trying to keep the farm going. He had borrowed from relatives who now avoided eye contact when he entered a room. He had tried every technique he knew: different seeds, different planting times, different fertilizers, different irrigation methods. Nothing worked. He decided that the 7th year would be his last attempt. If the harvest failed again, he would sell the land and move to the city. He would accept that the dream of continuing his family's legacy was not meant to be. He would admit defeat. He planted his seeds with very little hope, just going through the motions of a tradition that seemed to have abandoned him. He did not pray over the seeds like he used to. He did not walk the fields with anticipation like he once did. He did not imagine the abundant harvest that might come. He simply planted and waited for the inevitable disappointment. He had already started looking at jobs in the city. He had already begun to make peace with the loss. But something was different about the 7th year. The rains came at exactly the right time, not too early, which would have washed away the seeds, not too late, which would have left them withered in the sun, exactly when they were needed. The clouds gathered and released their blessing. The sun shone with exactly the right intensity, not too hot, which would have scorched the tender shoots, not too cool, which would have stunted their growth. The perfect temperature day after day, as if someone was controlling the thermostat of the heavens. The pests that had plagued the field for years suddenly disappeared. The farmer never knew why. The storms that had destroyed previous harvests went around the property as if guided by an invisible hand. He could see them raging in the distance, but not a single drop of destructive hail touched his fields. And the crop that grew was unlike anything the farmer had ever seen. It was not just a good harvest. It was not just an above-average harvest. It was not just a makeup for last year's harvest. It was a harvest so abundant that it made up for all 6 years of lack combined. The grain was so plentiful that he had to build new storage facilities. The silos he had could not contain the overflow.
The quality was so high that buyers came from distant regions to purchase it. They paid premium prices without negotiating. The blessing was so obvious that everyone who had whispered about his failure now whispered about his fortune. The same people who had pitied him now envied him. The same relatives who had offered to buy him out now asked for loans. The young farmer was overwhelmed. He fell to his knees in the middle of his field, surrounded by more abundance than he had ever experienced, and he wept. Not tears of sadness, but tears of understanding. He finally saw what had been happening all along. The 6 years of drought had not been punishment, they had been preparation. The soil had been resting, building up nutrients that would explode into growth when the right season arrived. The farmer's character had been developing, building up perseverance and faith that would be needed to steward the blessing that was coming. His pride had been dismantled so that humility could be built in its place. His self-reliance had been stripped away so that God-dependence could take its place. Everything that looked like failure was actually foundation. This is what has been happening in your life. The difficult years were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to prepare you. Every challenge you faced was building something inside you. Every setback was positioning you for a comeback. Every delay was creating capacity for what is coming. Every struggle was developing strength you will need. Every tear was watering seeds that will soon produce a harvest. Let me be even more specific about what the 7 years have developed in you. They have developed patience, not the passive patience of someone who simply waits because they have no other option, but the active patience of someone who has learned to trust the process. You have learned that good things do not always happen immediately, and you have learned to remain faithful in the waiting. This patience will serve you well in the next season because some of what I am building will require time to reach its full potential. They have developed discernment through trial and error, through disappointment and discovery. You have learned to identify what is real and what is counterfeit. You have learned to identify who truly has your best interests at heart and who is using you for their own purposes. You have learned to distinguish between open doors that lead to destiny and open doors that lead to distraction. This discernment will protect you in the next season when opportunities come faster than you expect.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. They have developed compassion. Because you have suffered, you understand suffering. Because you have struggled, you can sit with others in their struggle without offering empty platitudes. Because you have walked through the valley, you can guide others who are walking through their own valleys. This compassion will be essential in the next season because part of your assignment is to help others who are going through what you have been through. They have developed humility. The pride that might have corrupted success has been dismantled through difficulty. The self-sufficiency that might have kept you from depending on me has been stripped away through circumstances you could not control. The ego that might have made the blessing about you has been reduced to proper size. This humility will keep you grounded in the next season when success comes and others begin to celebrate what I am doing in your life. They have developed faith, not the untested faith that believes when everything is going well, but the battle-tested faith that believes when nothing makes sense. You have learned to trust me in the dark, which means you can be trusted in the light. Your faith has been refined like gold in fire, and what remains is pure, strong, and unshakable. This faith will carry you through whatever challenges remain in your journey. They have developed resilience. You have been knocked down, but you have gotten back up. You have been wounded, but you have kept going. You have been disappointed, but you have not given up. The resilience you have developed is not something that can be taught in a classroom or learned from a book. It can only be forged in the fires of experience. This resilience will sustain you in the next season because breakthrough does not mean the absence of challenges. It means the presence of power to overcome them. They have developed gratitude.
When you finally receive what you have been waiting for, you will not take it for granted. You will appreciate every blessing because you remember what it was like to go without. You will celebrate every victory because you remember what it was like to experience defeat. You will treasure every good thing because you remember what it was like to have nothing. This gratitude will keep your heart soft in the next season, protecting you from the entitlement that often accompanies prosperity. All of this, patience, discernment, compassion, humility, faith, resilience, gratitude, has been developing in you over the past 7 years. These qualities did not exist in you at this level 7 years ago. You would not have been able to handle what is coming with the character you had then. But now you are ready. The preparation is complete. The character is developed. The foundation is laid. You are not the same person who entered this difficult season, and that is exactly the point. The person who will walk in the breakthrough is the person who was formed in the waiting. You could not have handled the blessing 7 years ago. I know that is hard to hear. You wanted it then. You prayed for it then. You fasted for it then. You believed you were ready. But I saw something you could not see. I saw weaknesses in your character that would have caused you to lose the blessing as quickly as you received it. I saw holes in your foundation that would have made the structure of your destiny unstable. I saw areas of your heart that needed healing before they could handle the weight of what I had planned. I saw pride that would have corrupted the blessing. I saw insecurity that would have mismanaged it. I saw wounds that would have contaminated it. So I did what any loving father would do. I allowed you to go through a process that would prepare you for your purpose. I let you experience enough pressure to form a diamond. Coal does not become a diamond through comfort. It requires pressure. I permitted enough heat to forge steel. Iron does not become steel through ease. It requires fire. I allowed enough difficulty to create in you the strength, wisdom, and humility that you will need for where I am taking you. The waiting was not wasted time. It was training time. Every day of those 7 years was developing something in you. Patience you didn't have before. Trust you couldn't have learned any other way. Compassion for others who struggle. Wisdom that only comes through experience. Character that only forms under pressure. The struggle was not punishment. It was preparation. The hard things were not destroying you. They were building you. The challenges were not breaking you down. They were making you unbreakable. The delay was not rejection. It was development. I was not saying no to you. I was saying not yet. And the difference between those two is everything. But here is what you need to understand. The 7 years are complete. The preparation is finished. The process is done. The cycle has reached its end. And just like the farmer who saw his field explode with abundance in the 7th year, you are about to see your life explode with breakthrough. Wait, stop. I need you to hear this again because it is that important. The 7 years are complete, not almost complete, not completing soon, not on the way to completion, complete, finished, done. The moment you have been waiting for has arrived. The season you have been believing for is here. The breakthrough you have been praying for is no longer in the future. It is now. Not next year, not next month, not even next week. Now. In this moment, as you hear these words, I need you to let that truth sink into your spirit. After years of hearing not yet and wait and be patient, the word over your life has changed. The word is now. The word is today. The word is here.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. The waiting is over. The breakthrough has begun. But there is something you must understand about how this breakthrough will manifest. It will not look like you expected. It will be better, so much better that you will laugh at what you once thought you wanted. You have been imagining a breakthrough based on what you have seen others experience. You have been picturing restoration based on what you lost, but I am not in the business of simply returning what was taken. I am not a God who merely restores to original condition. I am in the business of upgrading. I am in the business of exceeding expectations. I am in the business of doing things so abundantly above what you could ask or imagine that you will know it could only have come from me. The relationship you lost? I am not just restoring a relationship. I am bringing you a covenant connection that will surpass anything you have experienced before. The person I am bringing into your life will understand you in ways no one else has. They will support your calling instead of competing with it. They will strengthen your faith instead of weakening it. They will bring out the best in you instead of triggering the worst. What you lost was a placeholder. What I am bringing is the promise. The finances that were destroyed. I am not just returning your money. I am opening doors of provision that will establish generational wealth for your family. Streams of income you never imagined will begin to flow. Opportunities that seemed reserved for others will suddenly be offered to you. Ideas that will generate wealth will download into your mind. Connections that will open doors will suddenly appear. The financial struggle that defined your past will become the financial testimony that defines your future. People will come to you asking how you did it, and you will have only one answer: God. The health that was stolen? I am not just healing your body. I am renewing your youth like the eagles, giving you energy and vitality that will make people wonder what your secret is. The symptoms that plagued you will disappear. The diagnosis that frightened you will be reversed. The limitations you accepted will be lifted. Doctors will use words like remarkable and unexplainable and miraculous. You will feel alive in ways you had forgotten were possible. You will have energy for the calling I have placed on your life. The dream that died? I am not just reviving it. I am expanding it beyond anything you originally imagined. The vision I have for your life is so much bigger than the vision you had for yourself. You were thinking small because disappointment had trained you to protect yourself. But I am thinking big because I know what you are capable of when you walk in the fullness of my calling. The dream you had was a seed. What I am bringing is a forest. This is the nature of divine reversal. It does not simply undo the damage. It multiplies the blessing. It does not simply return you to where you were. It launches you into where you were always meant to be. It does not simply restore what was lost. It releases what was always planned. Let me tell you another story to help you understand. There was a woman named Ruth who lost everything. Her husband died. Her father-in-law died. Her brother-in-law died. In a culture where women had no independent standing, where widows were often left destitute, where a woman's security was entirely dependent on the men in her life, Ruth was left with nothing but a grieving mother-in-law and a choice to make. She could return to her homeland, to her family, to the familiar comfort of what she knew. She could go back to Moab, where she had relatives who might take her in, where she knew the language and the customs, where she could have a chance at starting over. Or she could follow Naomi into uncertainty, into a foreign land, into a future that held no guarantees. Ruth chose the uncertain path. She chose loyalty over comfort. She chose faith over fear. She chose to step into the unknown rather than retreat to the familiar. And for a season, it seemed like her choice had led to nothing but hardship. She was a widow with no prospect of remarriage. She was a foreigner in a land that did not welcome outsiders. She was reduced to gleaning leftover grain from the edges of fields just to survive, the ancient equivalent of picking through dumpsters for food. By any human measurement, her situation was hopeless. But I was watching. I saw her faithfulness when no one else was looking. When she could have complained, she served. When she could have blamed Naomi, she blessed her. When she could have given up, she kept going.
I saw her character when circumstances were testing her. The same difficulty that would have made her bitter was making her better. I saw her heart when life was breaking her. She refused to let the breaking make her hard. She remained soft toward me, soft toward others, soft toward hope. And I was positioning her for a reversal that would exceed anything she could imagine. Ruth went from gleaning in a field to owning the field. She went from widow to wife. She went from foreigner to family. She went from poverty to prosperity. And not only that, she became part of the lineage that would eventually produce the Savior of the world. Her name is recorded in Scripture not as an example of failure, but as an example of faith rewarded. Thousands of years later, we still tell her story. Millions of people have been inspired by her journey. What looked like the end of her story was actually the setup for her greatest chapter. This is what I am doing in your life. The losses you have experienced were not the end, they were the setup. The disappointments you have endured were not failures, they were positioning. The waiting you have walked through was not wasted, it was preparation for a breakthrough that will make Ruth's story look small in comparison.
The middle-aged man, with a slightly hoarse voice and a hint of anger, possessed considerable knowledge. But before I show you the specific promises that are coming your way, I need to speak to your heart in a different way. There is something tender I want to share with you, something intimate, something that you need to receive before the breakthrough fully manifests. Come closer. Let me speak to the deepest part of you. I know you are tired, the kind of tired that sleep does not fix. You could sleep for a week and still wake up exhausted, because this is not a tiredness of the body, it is a tiredness of the soul. It is the weariness that comes from fighting a battle that never seems to end. It is the exhaustion that accumulates when you keep hoping and keep being disappointed. It is the fatigue that settles into your bones when you've been carrying a weight for years that you were never meant to carry alone. You have been fighting for so long that you have forgotten what peace feels like. You have been hoping for so long that hope itself has become exhausting. You have been believing for so long that belief has become a burden rather than a blessing. Every day takes effort that you are not sure you have left to give. It is okay to feel that way. I am not disappointed in your tiredness. I am not frustrated by your weariness. I am not looking at you wondering why you cannot be stronger. I am not comparing you to others who seem to handle pressure better. I am not shaking my head at your weakness. I am looking at you with the eyes of a father who sees his child after a long and difficult journey. I am not standing with my arms crossed in judgment. I am standing with my arms open in welcome. I am not waiting for you to get it together before I embrace you. I am embracing you exactly as you are, tiredness and all. You have done well. I know you do not feel like you have done well. I know you can list all the ways you think you have failed, the times you lost your temper, the days you did not pray, the moments you doubted, the seasons you pulled away. I know you carry a catalog of mistakes and missteps and moments you wish you could take back. You have a mental file of all your failures that you review regularly, adding to the evidence that you are not enough. But I am telling you from my perspective, from the view of one who sees the beginning and the end, you have done well. You stayed. That might not sound like much to you. Staying does not feel heroic. It does not make headlines. Nobody throws a parade for the person who simply refuses to quit. Nobody writes songs about the one who just kept showing up. But I see staying differently. Staying when everything in you wanted to leave, that is strength. Real strength. Not the strength that lifts weights or runs marathons, but the strength that matters. The strength of character. The strength of will. The strength of faith. Staying when the voices in your head said it was pointless, that is faith. Radical faith. The kind of faith that moves mountains. The kind of faith that pleases me
more than any religious performance ever could. Staying when everyone else would have understood if you walked away. That is loyalty, deep loyalty. The kind of loyalty that reveals your character. The kind of loyalty that shows what you are really made of. Staying when the pain made every day feel impossible. That is courage, true courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep going despite the fear. Not the absence of doubt, but the choice to believe despite the doubt. You are not weak for being tired. You are human, and your humanity is not a flaw, it is a feature. I did not create you to be a machine that never needs rest. I created you to be a living being who draws strength from me. I created you with limitations so that you would learn to depend on my limitlessness. Your weakness is not a bug. It is designed to lead you to my strength. So let me be your strength in this moment. Let me be the one who carries the weight. You have been trying to carry it yourself, and it is crushing you. Let me take it. Let me be the one who holds the future. You have been trying to figure it out, to plan for every contingency, to control what cannot be controlled. Let me hold it. Let me be the one who fights the battles. You have been trying to defend yourself on every front, and you are exhausted from the warfare. Let me fight. You have been trying to do it all yourself for so long, not because you didn't believe in me, but because you didn't want to burden me with your problems. You thought I had bigger things to worry about. You thought your situation was not important enough for divine attention. You thought you should be able to handle this on your own. Here's a secret. You could never burden me. Your problems are not too big for me. They are not even challenging for me. The things that keep you up with worry are solved in a single word from my mouth. The obstacles that seem insurmountable to you are invisible to me. I spoke galaxies into existence with a word. I set the stars in their courses and call each one by name. I hold the universe together by the power of my word. Your situation, as overwhelming as it feels to you, is not difficult for me. It is not even complicated. What I want from you is not your striving. It is your trust. Trust that I see the full picture when you only see a fragment. Trust that I am working even when you cannot see movement. Trust that my timeline is better than your timeline. Trust that my methods are wiser than your methods. Trust that my love for you has never wavered, not even for a moment. Not even when you felt most alone. Not even when you wondered if I was there.
In this moment, I'm not asking you to do anything. I am not giving you an assignment. I am not adding to your to-do list. I am not laying another expectation on your already burdened shoulders. I am simply asking you to receive. Receive my peace, the peace that does not depend on circumstances, the peace that remains steady when everything else is shaking. The peace that guards your heart and mind like a fortress, keeping out the anxiety that has been trying to invade. It is yours. Take it. Receive my love, the love that does not change based on your performance, the love that saw you at your worst and chose you anyway, the love that is not earned and cannot be lost, the love that has been pursuing you since before you were born. It is yours. Take it. Receive my presence. I am here, not distant, not distracted, not divided between you and a million other things. In this moment, I am fully present with you. My attention is not partial. My focus is not fragmented. I am here with you completely. Receive that reality. Rest in what I have spoken. The breakthrough is coming. The reversal has begun. But you do not have to anxiously wait for it. You do not have to worry it into existence. You do not have to strive and strain to make it happen. It is already done in the spiritual realm. It is simply manifesting in the natural one. Your striving will not speed it up. Your worry will not make it happen. It is already finished. You are just watching the unveiling. Your only job is to believe and receive. Believe that I am who I say I am. Receive what I have already declared over you. That is it. That is all. Nothing more is required. Take a breath, a deep one. Let your shoulders drop from where they have been carrying tension. Let the tightness leave your body. Let the anxiety release its grip on your mind. You are safe. You are loved. You are held. You are mine. And what belongs to me, no one and nothing can take away.